You know, for decades now, Apple has been the undisputed king of premium. We're talking iPhones, MacBooks, Apple Watches. They all have that signature, Apple price tag. So the big question is, how do they keep charging so much more than everyone else and still, somehow, come out on top?
And that really gets us to the heart of what we're talking about today. Why are Apple products so expensive? And maybe more importantly, are they even worth it? It's this incredible paradox that has pretty much defined one of the most valuable companies on the entire planet.
All right, let's put some actual numbers to this, because the difference is, well, it's pretty wild. Take a look at this. The average smartphone out there, from any brand, sells for about $265. The average iPhone? Over $800. I mean, that's not just a little more expensive, it's 3 times the industry average. That is the premium we are talking about.
So yeah, this is what we can call the premium price paradox. How in the world does Apple get away with these sky-high prices and still have people lining up, products just flying off the shelves year after year? Let's dive in and break it down.
And here's the thing, the secret sauce, really. For Apple, it's never actually been about the price tag itself. It's about what you get for that price. It's all about the experience.
See, Apple's whole success story is built on something they've absolutely mastered. We're calling it the Life Feels Good strategy. And this is all about creating value that goes way, way beyond just the hardware. The physical stuff inside the box.
Okay, so what is this Life Feels Good experience, really? Well, it's this really powerful mix of 3 key things. First, it's got to be seamless and super easy to use, right? Totally intuitive. Second, you've got that iconic, clean, minimalist design. And third, and this is a big one, it's that perfectly integrated ecosystem. Where your phone, your watch, your laptop, they all just work together, effortlessly. The goal is to make the technology feel less like some complicated tool and more like an extension of yourself.
In this strategy, wow, it has created some of the most intense brand loyalty you'll ever see. For more than 40 years, fans have basically called Apple the undisputed keeper of all things cool. And when you feel that way, when you're that bought in, the price tag, it kind of becomes a secondary thing. You just feel like the value you're getting is worth every penny.
All right, to really see this strategy in action, let's look at a perfect case study, the Apple Watch.
Now, get this. Apple was not the first one to make a smartwatch. Not even close. When they showed up, the market was already pretty crowded. You had almost 7 million units being sold at an average price of about $189. Then Apple waltzes in, late to the party, and launches their watch starting at $349. That's nearly double the average. And the result? Just insane. They sold over 30 million units last year, grabbing more than half of the entire market. I mean, that is premium power right there.
Okay, but here's where the story takes a turn. When you have that kind of success for decades, people are going to notice. The competition is now closing in, and believe me, they are hungrier than ever.
So if you just look at the raw number of phones sold around the world, you might actually be surprised. Apple isn't number 1, not by a long shot. Samsung actually sells more phones, leaving Apple with about 15% of the market in terms of units.
But, and this is a huge but, here's where that premium price strategy really pays off. Big time. Let's forget about the number of phones for a second and look at the money, the revenue. Thanks to those high prices, Apple absolutely dominates. They pull in an incredible 51% of all the smartphone revenue on the planet. Samsung? They're a distant second.
And if you thought that was staggering, hold on. Look at this number, 87%. What is that? That's Apple's share of all global smartphone profits, the actual money being made. That's almost 9 times more than their closest competitor. So the takeaway here is crucial. They might not sell the most phones, but they make almost all of the money.
But, some cracks are starting to show in that shiny armor. For one, global smartphone sales are slowing down. And at the same time, you've got these low-cost rivals who are quickly closing the technology gap. A lot of people feel like Apple's innovation edge just isn't what it used to be. And when that happens, that premium price gets a whole lot harder to justify. You can see this playing out really clearly in massive markets like China. An entry-level iPhone over there, it'll set you back about $900. Meanwhile, a local competitor like Xiaomi is offering a phone with pretty comparable tech for just $150. That huge price gap, it's becoming a serious problem for Apple.
And all of this leads us to the final critical question. What is Apple's billion-dollar dilemma? Do they stick with the premium price strategy that has worked so well for so long? Or
Do they have to change things up and start fighting for more customers for a higher volume of sales?
And the challenges, the headwinds they're facing are pretty significant. You've got slowing sales growth for smartphones across the board. Developed markets are saturated. Pretty much everyone who wants a smartphone has one. Even their most loyal fans are holding onto their old iPhones for longer. And all the while, those low-priced competitors are gaining ground as that innovation gap just keeps on shrinking.
So, feeling all this pressure, Apple recently did something that, well, was almost unthinkable for them. For only the second time in the iPhone's entire 12-year history, they actually cut prices in some international markets. That is a huge sign that the old strategy is under some serious strain.
So this leaves us with one final and I think really fascinating question to chew on. For years, Apple's high prices felt justified because they were delivering truly groundbreaking innovation. But as that technology gap closes, can a premium product keep commanding a premium price without that truly premium game-changing innovation? The answer to that question is going to define the next chapter for Apple for sure.